I had a very interesting spiritual experience one day, which led me to seek out a spiritual path, and I chose Christianity. There were problems I noticed when I started to read the Bible. Jesus didn't preach Christianity. He didn't preach the incarnation. He didn't preach the Trinity. He didn't preach the atonement. And this is the scandal. Christians generally don't know about what their own scholars are saying about this. And because of my nominal Christian background, I decided to go to a church, of course. I didn't know anything about Islam. So ultimately, I became a Christian. There were problems I noticed when I started to read the Bible, but it was the only show in town. But ultimately, I discovered Islam, or God guided me to Islam, and he provided solutions to some of the problems I had as a Christian, and so I changed faith.
So what type of problems did you see in Christianity and in the Bible that ultimately led you to Islam?
I'll try and speak now in terms of what scholarship says, what historians have discovered. It seems to me that Jesus didn't preach Christianity. He didn't come to found a church. For example, none of the Gospels, apart from one, speak of Jesus talking about a church at all. The earliest Gospels don't have Jesus speaking of a church at all. And he doesn't preach Christianity. What he preaches is God. He preaches Tawheed, and he's against hypocrisy. He preaches Nia, sincerity, and the love of God and love of neighbor, and so on. So it's kind of like a renewal movement. It's a spiritual renewal movement within Judaism. So Jesus' faith, if you like, we would call that Judaism, or the faith of the Israelites. He didn't preach the incarnation. He didn't preach the Trinity. He didn't preach the atonement, according to the vast majority of historians. The problem for Christianity is the idea that God became a man in Jesus. This is a late idea. It's not there in Jesus' ministry. It's only found actually in the Gospel of John. This is the last Gospel to be written. In the earlier Gospels of Matthew, Mark, and Luke, Mark's the earliest, there's no incarnation at all, and that's the least historical Gospel of all, and that's the Gospel of John. Only in one place in the Gospels does Jesus walk around saying, I am the light of the world, or before Abraham was, I am, or I am the resurrection of the life, or I am the light of the world. All these I am statements are only found in one Gospel, the last Gospel of John.
One thing is, when it comes to those four Gospels, like Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, all those, like they're anonymous writers in the first place. I don't know how people could put so much faith in things where you can't even figure out who the writer is, and the writer purposefully did not write their last name, so you can't track them. Like, I don't understand how you can put so much faith inside of a collection of books that were assorted by people. Like, I try to, like, if it's written by people, how can you say it's the word of God?